What even is truth? What is it? We hear this word all the time. Be true to yourself, speak your truth. What's the truth? What really happened? Right? Especially online, social media. And in the context I'm normally talking about, truth is usually in accordance with being true to yourself, finding your truth. But I thought it'd be good to just talk about what truth even is. It has a lot to do with our perception and interpretation of things, our reality. And does our reality change? Does our truth change? Does it evolve? I think that's why something that can be true to you years ago may not be true to you now. And it doesn't mean that it didn't happen. It's just the way you see things changes as you grow and as you evolve. And I think that is growth. That's what growth is. So I think it does. It comes down to what's actually happening and going on around you, whether it's close to home or in the world, and the lens through which you view it, but also realizing there's a lot going on we don't know. And unless you're actually there and actually witness something in person, we don't always know all the facts or have all the facts. We're not always given all the facts. We can go down rabbit holes and do research and everything, but I think there's still a lot we don't know unless we're actually there experiencing it ourselves. And I think that's why stories can be powerful. Videos, granted, sometimes you're going to see videos and you're not getting the whole story. You're not getting the whole context. Have you ever watched a video online and thought, I wonder what happened right before they hit record? Or the video gets cut off and you're like, what happened? Well, what happened after they stopped recording? Right? So we're not always getting the full picture of things. And even like what led up to something. The way a person behaved or reacted, like I maybe it's just me, but I oftentimes find myself questioning like what led this person to do this or be this way, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. What shaped them? How were they raised? How were they conditioned? What have they overcome? So there's always so much more to things than is on the surface level for sure. But I just want to come back to what I said about your truth changing. Because I think we do change and we grow, but we can also have core values that stick with us our whole life. So I think that factors in as well. So while I'm saying like our truth changes, as we grow, what's true to us, something we believed, right? Here's an example, something we may have believed. Maybe it's something from childhood or, I don't know, like the tooth fairy. Like as a kid, did you believe in the tooth fairy? Was it true? Was it true for you as a 5-year-old? And then you find out it was mom or dad, and it's not true to you anymore. But so things get uncovered and changed, and that's just kind of a silly example, but I think even as adults, you run into situations like that. Especially now, there's a lot of corruption that is getting uncovered, right? And a lot of people, their bubble is getting burst, right? Maybe you've experienced this. I know I have. I have multiple times. It's like I'm in a bubble and then it gets burst and it's like, oh, there's even more. And then I almost get into a new version of a different bubble and eventually that one pops too, right? And that's kind of like your knowledge expanding. But it changes your perception. It changes what can be true to you. It changes how you show up, how you navigate life. Okay. Core values can stick with you. I already mentioned that, but I keep thinking that, and then I get sidetracked. Sorry, maybe I'm a little all over the place today. But some core values that could stick with you, maybe things that are ingrained to you early and from an early time that can be helpful and beneficial, or not. Or not. So, but maybe just those are things that you come back to that make you who you are. Like thinking of an example, maybe you have a sense of loyalty to a certain person, you know, treating others the way you want to be treated. Not that we're perfect at it all the time, but you know, they are things that can stick with you. Can more than one truth exist at once? Yes, I believe so. And I believe it's because things are so many things are just subjective, right? So many things are based on someone's experience and interpretation of something. And there's so much factoring in. Your conditioning, where you were raised. I think we get it from parents, society, school, religion, friends, the kind of content you're consuming, politics, all the things, right? And I think that is why we see so much disagreement. I think there are times where we definitely can get to a more peaceful state by agreeing to disagree. You may have certain things that you're not willing to do that on, right? And I mean, right, this is all still based on interpretation, but yeah, you may have like your non-negotiables where there's certain things that really matter to you, that are important that you just can't agree to disagree on, right? Like maybe some of the bigger stuff. I'm kind of talking more about like the little things, the things you can have a conversation with, or even the medium-sized things. I remember growing up, I remember very clearly my mom talking about something to the effect of, I'd rather be happy than right. Sometimes it's like, yeah, I'd rather be happy than right. Is it even worth your energy sometimes? And are you willing to put yourself in someone else's shoes too? Can you realize that unless you're actually someone who has experienced exactly what this other person has experienced, do you really know? Do you really know? And same for you. Like, does anyone really know what shaped you? Does anyone really know what you've been through? How you felt exactly the way you felt about certain things or what you've experienced or your growth? Does anyone really know how far you've come but you? I think today my invitation to you, because I think it does help the collective as a whole, is next time you find yourself in a disagreement, even if it's something that just makes you roll your eyes, just kind of taking that step back and going, you know, I can agree to disagree here. Like I said, there might be things that you can't do that on. Golly, I'm trying to think of an example. I mean, there's so many, like what you stand for. Maybe like something abusive, for example, right? Like something that's just flat out abusive. Like, I don't think you have to compromise and agree to disagree on something that's abusive, right? Okay, there's an example for you. I kept thinking, like, I keep saying that, and I'm like going in circles. So, that's not what I'm talking about, though. Okay, I just want to make that clear. The things I'm talking about are just like they don't really matter, you know? So, but we can still get caught up, you know, arguing over something stupid like is tacos or pizza better or something, you know? Do you like football or basketball? I mean, I remember overhearing a conversation of someone just flat out trying to make someone feel bad because they didn't love the same sport as them. Like, you must be stupid if you don't love this like I do. Like, that kind of shit. Like, that needs to stop. It's stupid. It's a waste of energy. Love people where they're at. This world would be so boring if we all loved the same things. If we all had the same exact interests and pursuits, right? Just let people be who they are. Who cares? Who cares, right? And just agree to disagree on the little things and even the medium-sized things. Even some of the viewpoints, like social standpoints. You can find things that have two different viewpoints, even on the political spectrum sometime. And I'm never going to get way into politics on here, but just as a general example, like, have you ever looked at something and you can see why two different groups of people have a viewpoint on something and they both have very valid facts and opinions? And it's like, I can listen to this person and go, oh, you have really good, points. You're passionate about this. I can see why you would want that, especially because of your experiences. And then this other person that has a totally different upbringing and experience and has a totally different viewpoint, and they also have valid ideas and points. And I guess that's why I find myself so neutral so many times. Like, I don't really want to be on either side of the spectrum. I want to be just more neutral and observing. I'm very much an observer, I guess. And when it comes down to it, most people actually do want the same things. Most people, they want peace. They want to feel safe. They want to feel heard. They want choices and freedom. And sometimes someone else doing things a different way or living a different way makes them feel threatened or like they are forced to believe a different way when really they're not. Like, can you come back to yourself? And how many things, like, are there where someone else's choice doesn't actually affect you? Someone living their truth doesn't actually affect you. Like, you find your own and live your own, right? Yeah. So, what are you doing to find your truth? What feels good to you? I think letting go of what other people think, their opinions, the way they live their life, someone who has different values than you, being able to, like, let go of that, let people live their own life, and you live your own life. And many of you are already doing this, so this isn't, I think a lot of you watching this, you kind of already do this, and maybe some of your frustration is other people that don't always want to let people live their life, right? But I think things can change even just with one person, being the example, being the person that really tries to see the other perspective. Yeah, and I feel like the type of people watching this video are probably already aware of this and somewhat on track. So, yeah, I guess come back to self. What can you do? Are there things you can look at and work on? Yes, I have things I need to work on and practice at. I caught myself, judging a situation pretty harshly the other day, and then later was thinking about it and was just like, maybe there's more to this than I realize. Maybe there's more to the story, right? Sometimes we jump to conclusions. So yeah, I have things to work on and to look at and just, try and do better next time. I think if you can catch yourself too, you can catch yourself and go, maybe I jumped to conclusions here, and just being able to admit that. And just be the example. I think, like, when I'm talking to my kids and stuff, if I overhear them talking about someone else or another situation or someone liking something different than them. Just trying to raise them with that mindset that, like, it's okay that we're all different. It's okay that we like different things. Um, so you can spread that way, just by how you're showing up and talking to those around you. There's always a ripple effect when you can show up as you are, and when you can have respect for others, and when you can be okay with not always being right, being happy, um, being able to admit when you were wrong too. Can you come back to a situation and say, hey, I was wrong about this? Or, I didn't have all the facts on this. I'm sorry. So being able to take some self responsibility and self accountability there. And yeah, so I think that is kind of how two truths can exist at one time, is the perception and interpretation, and how can we hold ourselves in that. I think that brings more peace too. I think that is what brings in more of that collective peaceful energy that we all want, right? If you're here watching this, you're someone who does want more peace, more love, more compassion. You want to see people respect each other, and you want these cycles that are unhealthy to change, right? You're breaking cycles. You're someone who is breaking cycles, and that affects your downline, that affects generations to come, or it could be other people around you, because I'm thinking of kids, but like, maybe it's the neighbor kid, maybe you're a teacher and it's your students, maybe it's nieces, nephews, people in your community. Okay, so this doesn't just apply to like actual children that you have. I just mean, man, because those kids are sponges, and sometimes it just takes one person saying one thing in just the right way, or being the right example, and helping give a child a different perspective shift that helps them to treat someone else better. And I do believe that helps raise the collective energy, and it does help generations to come. So, okay, I would like to pull a card to end with, just for guidance. Okay, I'm going to pull from the Healing Mantra deck by Matt Kahn. Actually, this is bringing you back to your center. Okay, what's something that we can focus on whenever it is you find this, just to kind of help you come back to that center. Come back to center. Unhooking the past. It's kind of hard to see, huh? There is nothing to regret when I learn from my past. Unhooking the past. Okay, let's see what this says. When you unhook the past, you are able to see crucial moments of growth from fresh perspectives. This allows you to see the mistakes of your past as catalysts for development, not as something you did wrong. It is an opportunity to see how your previous actions could have been better aligned with your highest values. When you learn today the things you didn't know before, you are able to meet your current circumstances with renewed clarity, so the past can be unhooked instead of repeated. Okay, so there is nothing to regret when I have learned from my past. I love that. That's a good reminder. I think we probably all have things in our past that sometimes, we're learning experiences, right? And can you look at it as a learning experience instead of beating yourself up or saying, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. Why did I used to be this way? Recognize it as your growth, and love yourself anyway. That's something I've been doing lately. When I feel like guilty about a behavior or thought or thinking I could do better. Or maybe I just like didn't get done what I wanted to get done that day. Or when I noticed I repeated a pattern that I'm trying to break free of. I have noticed lately more, I do kind of come back and just say, okay, I'm going to love myself anyway. I love myself anyway. I didn't eat as well today as I wanted to, but you know what? I'm going to love myself anyway. I love myself anyway, and I'm going to get back on the wagon. You know? Sometimes that's all you can do. And I think that we all probably need to give ourselves a little more grace. It is hard sometimes, I know that. But it gets easier the more you do it. Okay, one more. Chakra. Oracle of the Seven Energies. So give you just kind of a chakra to tune into. Willing release. So like the camera's doesn't always look super clear. All right. I think kind of dark in here. Like, is that yellow or white? Let's see. The colors kind of hard to see. All right, it was white. So crown chakra. Okay. White crown chakra. Okay, willing to release. Yielding to a divine plan, releasing attachment to form, especially if something isn't what you expected or what you wanted. Some days you have to let go of the struggle to find the answer. Focus on other things for a while. This doesn't mean giving up altogether or losing. Remember that our co-creative partnership with the divine is give and take. Do your part. You must surrender to the form and the timing of how to your higher power. There is a divine plan for each of us. There's something going on, something in your life that you need to turn over to the divine, something you've been pushing on or attaching to a certain outcome. Sometimes that's hard because you feel like if you're not focusing on the right way that it won't happen. But then if you totally let go of it, are you not attracting it anymore, right? That's where it kind of feels kind of funky sometimes. But I know there have been many times where when I was able to let go of something or the way something was going to happen or when it was going to happen, and then what happened is not what I was expecting, but it was better than what I had pictured, what I had dreamed up, what I had thought was going to happen. I know an example like from my own life is like being in an old job that I wanted to get out of. I was so frustrated and had interviews and tried to find other jobs. And it's like, I just couldn't get out. It was just this, I felt like I couldn't escape it, right? And I kind of had to just get to a point where I tried to make the best of it, but also knowing I wanted something else, knowing something I wanted something different. Like I think it kind of comes back to like you can be grateful for a situation, but still want something else, right? You can still be grateful for a place to live, but want to move. You can still be grateful for a job and for the income it provides. Be grateful you even have a job, right? Some people can't find a job, right? Be grateful for the job you have, but you could be grateful for the job you have and still say, okay, I'm grateful for this, but I would like XYZ, you know? And I think that's a way to, I guess that isn't really detachment. So I'm trying to kind of fill into that. Was that a good example? Yeah, because I mean, I kind of had to let go of the when and how. That's what it comes back to, right? Being grateful for something, wanting something else, but I did. I really had to let go of when and how it happened because it didn't happen how I thought. We ended up moving and I ended up quitting the job because well, I was even trying to stay with the job and work remotely, and it didn't work out. So then I was kind of almost clinging on to it. It's so weird, even though I didn't want it. And so I ended up like having to quit because we were moving. And then the move ended up being good. Had the most fun summer of my life, and took some time off, and then found a new job where it put me in a path towards something better, more freedom, more flexibility, being home more, you know? So it just kind of all worked out. But like, if a year before that you told me that was going to happen, that is not what I pictured. It did not happen the way I thought it would, right? I always thought that it would be me having the perfect resume and the perfect interview and putting in a 2 weeks notice. And that isn't how it happened at all. That isn't what happened. And then even when I was looking for a new job, I wasn't getting interviews. I wasn't like, I couldn't find anything. And then I just kind of had to trust that the right thing would show up. And then I ended up getting a job offer from like a friend of a friend that was not even something I applied or interviewed for. Yeah, resume for nothing. I ended up not even needing it, right? It just kind of fell into my lap. Isn't that, I don't know. Life has a funny way of working itself out when you can let go of how something is going to happen for you. So I think I'm just going to leave you with that. Let go of the how and the when. And I think you can be grateful for where you're at and be clear about what you want and still let go too. Hopefully that makes sense. But take care, and I will see you on the next.